lovely and darling viewers, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy. This time I'm reviewing Teen Titans Raven. This is a young adult graphic novel from DC. It has writing by Garcia and illustrations by Gabriel Picolo. In this story we are introduced to Rachel Roth, also known as Raven, as she is recovering from a car crash where she lost her memory, and so she has amnesia and she has to rediscover who she is. Not only like her personality wise, but also dealing with the fact that she's having powers that she doesn't know where they came from or what she can do with them either. So it's an interesting take on a origin story. So the very beginning of the book starts off with this car crash. We really briefly get to meet her adopted mother. And then Raven is sent off to live with her aunt, who is now her new foster mother, and her new foster sister. And she doesn't remember them, she doesn't remember who she is, and it's really about discovering her own identity and what she can do. This entire comic has a very muted color tone. It's mostly in black and white, and it mostly has purple undertones, although sometimes we do start to see some other coloring showing up. The art itself is like my favorite part of this. Honestly, we're just going to jump right into that because it is the best part, is watching not only the facial expressions and what these characters are thinking through like visuals, but also the way that the art itself tells a story. The less Raven feels comfortable, the less she remembers, the more black and white is used, the less details are included in the drawing. And as we get further into the book and as she starts trusting other characters, the art starts getting more detailed and we start seeing sometimes some more colors being thrown in. Which I love about this. So Raven is relocated to New Orleans to live with her foster sister Max, who is kind of her guide to high school and trying to figure out who she is. Max just takes everything in at face value. Even when Raven starts developing powers that she doesn't know what to do with, Max is also like, it's okay, we're going to figure this out, it'll be alright. Going and doing research for her, she's like, I was looking into amnesia, and what you're experiencing isn't that unusual. She's just incredibly supportive and like the best sister you could hope for in this situation. Like, I immediately love Max in the story and getting to know her. And then we also have Max's mom in here. So throughout the story, we have Raven figuring out who she is and what she likes. She's not even sure why she has certain things in her possession. Like, there's this book she has that had tons of underlining. And she's like, is this my favorite book? Did I like this book? Was I reading it for school? Was this somebody else's book? Like, she doesn't know what the connections to these objects that she has in her possession are. And she's really uncertain about who she is. She's looking at her clothing and she's like, I guess this is what I like because this is what all my clothes are like. But she's not even sure about her fashion sense. Like, is that stuff that she enjoys? Everything about her life when she starts off is very uncertain. And as the story progresses, she starts meeting more characters and she starts becoming more certain of who she is and what she can do. But of course, Raven is also a superhero, and one of the things that she notices very early on is that she can hear people's thoughts. And it becomes very distracting to be able to hear the thoughts of every teenager around you, to the point that it's very overwhelming and she doesn't know how to, like, function. So she also has to figure out how to deal with her powers and how to function in the real world. Which I ate up all of this. I know this is sounding very vague, and I'm sorry, but I loved getting to know this and getting into Raven's head and exploring all of this for the first time. So going back to Max, I also really love the fact that she is there for her every single step of the way. When Raven is like, hey, I can hear people's voices and this is like freaking me out, Max comes up with a solution like, hey, let's try some noise canceling headphones. Maybe that will help, and then Raven can focus. She can like be in just her own thoughts and not hear everybody else. Like, that kind of commitment and friendship is amazing. As the story goes on, we start figuring out that maybe Max also might have something going on with her. She might not be a normal teenager either. We also have Max's mom, who maybe knows that something's going on but doesn't quite know what's going on. So we have this group of very strong women who are just trying to sort this out together. And there's also a different variance in how well Raven trusts Max versus how well she trusts Max's mom. Like a typical teenager, not sure if I should go to the adults right away. And then we've got these more colorful panels where Raven has clarity and has moments where she's just content, and I love it. So I love this panel for two reasons. A, there's her love interest of Tommy, who is also pretty supportive about, hey, you don't know who you are, that's fine. I still like you, so let's figure this out together. And he goes and meets her part way. Like, she doesn't know what her favorite candy bar is. So there's this whole scene where he brings her tons of candy bars, and they just try a bite of all these different candy bars until she figures out what her favorite kind is, which is, like, so sweet and adorable. So I love it. I love getting to see Tommy and Raven sorting through these feelings at the same time. I also love how much New Orleans plays into this. That's where it's set. And the city itself becomes its own character. As much for the backgrounds and the places they go to visit, like being, getting to see the cathedral, going down Bourbon Street, seeing the Café du Monde at one point. These are all places that I've actually been to in New Orleans, so I love getting to see that. But New Orleans also has a different feeling to it, and voodoo is a very big part of that in that city, and that ties into Max and her mother and their family history, and so that also becomes a huge part of this, the fact that they are in New Orleans, and the culture around that plays into this as well, which I enjoyed. I also love how Raven has all these normal teen experiences, going through high school, trying to figure out if she likes this boy, if she should trust this boy. So does Max. And Tommy even. Like, all three of these characters are very typical teenagers, and I loved getting to see that and getting... so I love getting to see that. It definitely feels like a very YA novel. A very teenage story that is grounded in real, actual characters with actual characteristics, and they aren't just superheroes who are out there punching and fighting, although that also plays into this. I don't want to spoil the big baddie at the end of this, but there is also the big superhero battle where Raven discovers she has more powers. It's not just listening to people, but she also has some fight skills too. And I loved getting to see that and watching Raven become more confident in that and actually finding out what she cares about and standing up for something that she thinks is actually important. Getting to see who her allies are and who she's actually up against and who can you trust and who can't you trust, more or less. There's some ambiguity. There is some parts of this at the end that aren't completely resolved, and it does kind of make you want to keep reading the rest of the Teen Titans stories. I am excited to see more of these. I want to see Raven come back. I know the next one is Beast Boy, which has also got the same writing and art team of Cami Garcia and Gabriel Picolo. Following Beast Boy and having his own origin introduction story, and then I think they're gonna do all of the Teen Titans and then do one big one. I was watching an interview with them, so I think that's the plan for this series, but like, I want to keep reading them. I want to find out more about Beast Boy. I want to see more of his art style. I'm psyched. So basically I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. I totally ate it up. I loved everything about it. I especially love the art. And I love Cami Garcia's storytelling and the way that she can get into a teenage mind and explore characters and introduce an origin story in a different way was also fun. Because we're getting to introduce to Raven as she's also discovering herself, but like from scratch, but also being a teenager, which I liked it. I loved it. It was fun. So let me know in the comments below if you've read this and what you thought of it. Are there any other Teen Titans stories, either in the comics or on the television, that I should be checking out? I honestly went into this not knowing anything about Teen Titans, and the only introduction I had to Raven was really the little glimpse inside the Under the Moon free comic book day, which is really only a few pages from this graphic novel. That was enough to whet my appetite and be like, I need to know more about Raven. And the art is what pushed me into like, I need to buy this and own this and not just check it out of the library, because the art is so gorgeous. I love it. I'm excited, in case you can't tell. So let me know what your thoughts are on Raven or the Teen Titans. Peace out. I love you guys, and keep reading. Bye.